Hey everyone, welcome to Theonopolis for a short little introduction and overview of the park, because I asked you guys if you might want something like that, and well, two of you guys answered yes, and I already plan to make something like this because I do know that most of you guys found my channel through Ozaru, and then it's a huge step to get into Theonopolis because Theonopolis has been going on for more than half a year. We started Tinoppolis in mid-January and now we're close to November, and it's kind of just a big step to get into a series that has been going on for such a long time. But Tinoppolis is the main project that basically started this whole channel, and I am very proud of what we've built so far. So that's basically why I wanted to introduce you guys to the park, so that like huge step that you have to take to get into it is kind of lessened, so that you guys can step in from here and not worry about previous videos, because, well, actually I don't want you guys to watch the first few videos of Theonopolis, because as I said, this basically started the whole channel, and the first, let's say, 10 videos I can't watch because I was so cringe. Well, I don't want to say cringy, but I just didn't know how to record and how to talk properly. I mean, I still don't do that properly now, but there's a little bit more structure to it. But anyway, so quick rundown of everything in Theonopolis so far, or like stats wise. So Theonopolis has been going on for over half a year, as I said before, and I was first aiming to have Theonopolis done by December, but I do realize now that that might not be very realistic, because we're closing in on that and Theonopolis is not anywhere near done. So we might go on for a half a year more even. So that's when it comes to timing. Piece wise, Theonopolis by now is over 300,000 pieces. So frame rate wise, it's actually more stable than Ozaru, because in Ozaru we went from like 60 frames a second to 10. So it's more stable than that, but it is stable at like 15 to 20 frames a second, or just FPS wise. I don't know if it's frames a second, I think it is, but I have the brain of a goldfish and I'm a squirrel, so you know, let's just say the FPS is stable at 15 to 20. Just because of all the pieces, because by the time Theonopolis is finished, it will probably be like around 400,000 pieces. Yes, it's a massive park by now. And the entire idea of Theonopolis was to build like an ancient Grecian city. Not so much theme park, but more city. That already shows again that I'm more into Planetcoaster and Plan Zoo for the building aspect, and not so much for the, well, actual intention of the game, because coasters I rarely finish because I lose interest in them very quickly. That's basically how I started calling myself a squirrel, because I would start building on them and then I just lost interest halfway through. So that's one thing that you will see in Theonopolis, that there are, I think, 3 coasters that are finished, and then the majority is like halfway done, and some are actually very close to being finished, but then I just lost interest and started something new. So yeah, that's basically the whole reason that I call myself a squirrel, and sometimes a goldfish, because I forget to do things sometimes. But the entire idea is, as I said, an ancient Grecian city, although it's not going to be completely realistic, because sometimes I build something just because it's pretty and not because it's realistic. I mean, we are right now in front of my palace, because why not build a palace for myself? Yes, that sounds very narcissistic, but I just wanted to build a palace. So the palace actually has been started construction around like September, and then I've been building it mostly off screen. Actually, I think I did one video on the palace, and then after that everything went off screen. So if I have time in between speed build videos, I usually am building on the palace. So that's basically what you see right now. Around 2 to 3 months worth of just like 10-minute intervals building on this palace. But yeah, the idea behind this palace was basically just, how can I make this look as, well, plant-wise paradise as possible, and building-wise just as impressive as possible. So yeah, if I'm not building speed build videos or things for speed build videos, you will mostly find me here. But yeah, let's just probably get into the park, because, well, I call it a park, but it's more a city. So, well, also, yes, the camera doesn't like me. It didn't like me in Ozaru as well. So, we will have to deal with that, because the camera just is sometimes a little bit tricky. So, I'm going to try and get a view of the entirety of Theonopolis. And here you can already see, Theonopolis is massive. And you might realize now why it's over 300,000 pieces. So, right now we get everything of Theonopolis, I think. So in the last few videos, we have been mostly back there. That's the river rapids that you see. So, the last video where we finished it, we were over there. So you can see that the river rapids is actually quite a small thing compared to all of Theonopolis. But it's still all in this ancient Grecian theme. Even though, like, the palace here in front, which is at the entrance area. So right now we are actually standing right above the entrance. But some things are more fancy and more like mystical and just not realistic, such as the palace. But then you also have this massive bridge. We have a massive astralarium, I think, or planetarium. Yeah, I'm going to confuse words a lot. But that's basically why I'm a scroll. So this is basically the entrance area, but Theonopolis in its entirety just started off with the Acropolis, which I don't think I need to explain why an ancient Grecian park started off with an Acropolis, because I think the most recognized ancient Grecian building is the Parthenon. So that's basically where we started off. So if I ever return to the Acropolis for a video, you can really see the difference in how, like, my building skills have developed over the time, because you can see the palace over there, which I think a week ago I built also on it. So everything, well, not everything, but the latest additions to the palace are a week old. And then the Acropolis is almost, well, it's over half a year old. So you can really see how things have probably changed when it comes to, like, skills, when it comes to buildings. And then we went from the Acropolis to the main street. And half of the main street is over half a year old. But this, like, front section of the main street is actually, I think, 1 month old, because I only did the entire entrance area in September. Because I don't know why I didn't build an entrance to Theonopolis at the beginning of the park, but I just didn't. I just started with the Acropolis and then I went from there. And so we started off with the Acropolis, we went into the main street, then harbor area, and then we basically just lost all track and just started doing random projects everywhere. But so Theonopolis right now, I'm going to zoom out a little bit more so that we can actually get everything, has, if I'm correct, 6 or 7 areas. So we have the Acropolis, Main Street, Harbor / Agora area, then of course the entrance area, which is just this huge castle, which again proves that sometimes I build just because it's pretty and not because it's, like, realistically ancient Grecian or historically accurate. But so again, Acropolis, Main Street, Harbor / Agora area, which Agora stands for marketplace. But then we have the entrance, the Midas district, which is supposed to be this, like, wealthy palace district, even though the palace of the River Rapids is bigger than anything in the Midas district except for the Odeon. But then you have, as I said, the Outskirts area back there, where we will spend the majority of the time before Plant Zoo goes live, because I do realize the Plant Zoo will just be what we will be focusing on when the game releases. So yeah, we might have like another week of Theonopolis, then a week of Plan 2, and then I will figure out a schedule in between two of them. But after the Outskirts area, to the left of it we have the more industrial area, which I call the Plaza of Trades, because every area actually has a name besides like the industrial area or like wealthy area. Like everything has a name, because I love to just build a story thing or storyline behind everything I build. And then you'll go back into the harbor area, and let's just rip the band-aid off and go to the biggest buildings. So first of all, the Acropolis. I mean, pretty sure like everybody knows like the Parthenon and such, and there's the entire Acropolis of Athens, which it's not completely based off of, but it is inspired by. Though the building to the left of it, and the camera doesn't like me, but we will make it work. Because I don't regularly do like live or real-time footage, because as I said before, Tinoppolis is 300,000 pieces. We're getting a steady frame rate of like 15, so it's going to be maybe a little bit choppy. But yeah, this is the only building in the entirety of Theonopolis so far that is almost completely referenced and completely built off its real life counterpart, or at least what was its real life counterpart, because it doesn't exist anymore. But this was the Pharos of Theonopolis, and it's completely based off the Pharos of Alexandria, which was that huge lighthouse. So that's the only building actually that is completely based off a real life building. And it's also, I think, the biggest building, or at least for when it was finished, it was the biggest building in Theonopolis piece-wise. Because the entirety of the Pharos is, I think, 34,000 pieces. This entire building is custom built. No walls that I didn't custom build. So no grid walls. Maybe actually for like the 4 blocks on the edges. But that was, well, basically trying to save Theonopolis, because after the Pharos was finished, I needed to upgrade my PC, because my PC would just cry whenever I opened Theonopolis. And now, as I said, a steady 15 FPS, but I can build with that. So we're right now going over the Midas district, which, as I said, is the more wealthy district of Theonopolis, even though it's, well, you can already see the Palace of the River Rapids. And then this is, well, these are supposed to be like wealthy buildings. So you can already see they're tiny compared to the Palace of the River Rapids. But then the River Rapids is tiny compared to the Odeon, because I built Odeon. It's maybe not completely accurate, but I think like halfway through building the Odeon, I did say like, oh, I messed up, because some of this, well, the stage area wasn't how it was supposed to be. But the Odeon is mostly actually realistic and historically accurate. So right now you can already see a little bit of a teaser for probably tomorrow's video on the more worker slash lower class buildings, because so far most of the buildings in Theonopolis have actually been like kind of wealthy, if you think of it realistically and historically accurate. But this is going to be a major thing that we will be building, like all these houses for the workers, because, well, we will mostly stay back here in Theonopolis for the coming time, just so that we can finish the Outskirts area, which, as you can see, is going to take some time, because this entire area needs to be filled. And then we will move counterclockwise and go into the more industrial area probably. Then finish off the harbor area and just the front of Theonopolis. So that's, well, basically we just finish the back of it first, and then we go into the more, well, the front of Theonopolis more finished than the back. So we will just then have a little bit more of an even playing field. But yeah, so in the last video we were building this and finishing the River Rapids. And this is one thing that you will notice, like you might have noticed the files looking weird, but that's when things are basically custom built. They just disappear if you zoom out. Like this is the oracle, or like the more like religious slash temple area that I wanted to build in the outskirts. And you can already see if I zoom out, the entire roof disappears. Because rounded roofs in Planetcoaster were basically, well, they don't exist. You have to make them yourself most of the time. But so, the coming videos will probably be just focusing on finishing this area. And this is actually, I think, one person really liked this ride. This is called the Meadows, or Persephone's Meadow. I'm going to mess up the names because I'm horrible at names. I already say I have the mind of a goldfish. But yeah, for that one person, this is where that ride ended up. Because for the longest time, I did not know where to place this, because it just could be everywhere in Theonopolis, because it's just combining everything of Tinoppolis, but it ended up in the outskirts. Just because it's a more rural thing. So next to the outskirts, the more industrial area, yes, this is as much as I can get of it on screen, but as you can see, actually you could also see that in the outskirts, but coasters not really finished. I mean, going into this coaster you can also see just the block building that isn't finished. But again, this just shows that I'm more into the building wise of coasters than the actual coaster thing. This is actually one of the few coasters that is finished. This is Marble Road. And I wanted to actually start Theonopolis off, or like not start Theonopolis off, but return to Theonopolis by making a POV of this coaster. But as you can see, everything beyond the coaster is just not finished. So I just thought like, alright, let's just go straight into the speed builds and finish off this area. And then move on to finish this area. And then when probably this entire area, like, well, not the entire area, but this entire section of the park is finished, then I will do the POVs of the 3 coasters that are there. Also, quick to say, because I wanted to keep this video short, but we are already closing in on 20 minutes. But as a question, because I honestly don't know where I want to place it, but there's only going to be one more coaster added to Theonopolis, because as you could see, Theonopolis is pretty much full already. There's going to be one coaster, a go-kart track, and maybe some flat rides going to be added in the coming videos. And the coaster is probably going to go either here, there, or over here. So if you guys want to have like some input in the park, just say down below what you think is the most or the best place to put a kiddie coaster. Because that's the only coaster we are missing so far. But yeah, so moving on, because I need to speed this up a little bit, because otherwise we're going to be here for 30 minutes. I mean, it's very easy for me to talk for 30 minutes. Again, this is a reason why I don't want you guys to see the first few videos of Theonopolis, because I was so scared to talk back then. But yeah, this is the biggest coaster actually that we have, which is the Atlantis water coaster, or like, I think the official name is the Last Days of Atlantis. Because, I mean, you can't have an ancient Grecian park without at least referencing Atlantis. But this is probably the biggest project in the Theonopolis project, because it includes, I think if I'm correct, 3 dark ride sections. And dark ride sections are, well, they take the longest to build. So when the entire back of Theonopolis is finished, we will probably move on to this coaster, finish it off, and then most of the harbor area is actually finished. So then we just have this entire section of Theonopolis finished. And then, well, this is another coaster that is actually finished, or somewhat finished, which is, I think, also the first coaster I built in Theonopolis. So it's supposed to also be finished, because again, Theonopolis has been going on for half a year, or over half a year. Going to zoom in a little bit, see if the camera hates me. Also, Gulpy. Yes, every time I see Gulpy, I'm going to scream, well, not scream Gulpy, because this video is supposed to be a little bit more helpful in seeing how we are at Theonopolis. But yeah, Gulpy is just my favorite mascot. So, yeah. Anyway, so right now we are over the harbor slash Agora area of the park, which is mostly finished actually. It's only this back section and then actually all of the bridges in Theonopolis, because I hate building bridges for some reason. In Planetcoaster and Planet Zoo, I just don't like building bridges for some reason. But yeah, so this is the Agora slash harbor section, which does include the water coaster, but it's mostly finished. This is the big library of Theonopolis. I want to say it's based off the big library of Alexandria, but I basically just went wild. I saw one picture of, I think, the library in Ephesus, and then I just built this. It's completely not accurate, but then I don't think anyone really knows how the big or the library of Alexandria looked like. But yeah, so this area is mostly finished. It has kind of, well, not a lot of buildings, but just a lot of, well, tiny things I still have to add, such as building the actual Agora, which is the marketplace. And you can always see there are only 3 stalls yet. But those are like tiny things that I will probably do off screen, because, I mean, building market stalls is not the most interesting thing to see. Also, quickly to reference Osaru again, that is basically the water gate. So that I think opens up every hour in-game. And that is what I referenced with the cave in Osaru, the cave that we built in the final speed build video, where I said like, oh, this might be the connection to Theonopolis. Yeah, it's actually also in the good place in Osaru and Theonopolis, so that it actually is almost on like the same, well, if you place Osaru next to it, it will almost line up, I think. I don't actually know for certain. But yeah, it closes up and transforms into a waterfall, because why not? As I said, most of the things in Tinoppolis are not completely realistic, but we'll manage. And now we're back at the main street. So we did basically entire counterclockwise introduction to Tinoppolis. So main street, this is probably the biggest area left unfinished in the front of Theonopolis. And this is already, I can say this is going to be where the go-kart track is going to be. So I kept that space open because a go-kart track takes a lot of space. And then, you know, then we have the outskirts, but this will probably be the last area we will tackle in Theonopolis. Then we have the entrance area, which includes my palace, because I'm a narcissistic little squirrel and I wanted to build my own palace. And I can already say this, the first thing we built in the Mystery Zoo is going to be a palace, because, I mean, we need the centerpiece. In Theonopolis, the centerpiece is really the Acropolis, and in the Mystery Zoo, it's going to be the palace, because I think that the Mystery Zoo will probably be a shorter project compared to Theonopolis. Like, I think I can finish the Mystery Zoo in, well, maybe not even half a year. I don't know. We will see when we get to it. But yeah, so that's basically it for Theonopolis. So again, this is how the entirety of Theonopolis looks right now. It's a massive park, it's a massive project, and it's going to probably take maybe even another half a year or like 3 to 4 months to actually finish all of it. Well, we will be building mostly here for the coming time, because I want to finish off this area and then move on to, well, go counterclockwise through Theonopolis. So yeah, you can already see a little bit of a teaser for the next video, but that's going to be it for if you guys want to have like, oh, how are we in Theonopolis right now? Not just for anyone who came here from Osaru, but also from people who have like watched Theonopolis for a time and then kind of lost track, because this is going to be the 70th video of Theonopolis. So yeah, if you want to see anything else that I haven't shown or haven't talked about, do ask it down below in the comments. I basically live down there. I think, well, there are really only a few comments that I don't reply to most of the times. Those comments I just don't know how to reply to. So if you wanted to see anything else, I know this is like a horrible angle to look Theonopolis or look on Theonopolis. I'm going to move down a bit because yeah, that's also a giant living tree because I need to live somewhere while the palace is being completed, and I do call myself a squirrel. So I'm going to quickly go into one of my terraces, but yeah, I'm just going to go from here. So again, we will probably be in the outskirts area for a long time, and then we will move counterclockwise and finish off the rest of Theonopolis. And it's probably going to take like 4 months again because yeah, it's a massive project, and I didn't think it would take this long. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this kind of short, well, short, it's 25 minutes, but introduction to Theonopolis. I hope it was helpful if you are thinking of actually getting into the series. And I kindly ask you guys to not watch the first few episodes because I was just a nervous wreck back then. Like, if you think the last few videos were like a train wreck, I mean, the last speed build video where we finished the Rift Rapids, I think is a little bit of a train wreck, but yeah, the first few videos were really bad. But anyway, that's going to be it. Again, hope you enjoyed the video. If you do and found it helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, and I will see you tomorrow with the next speed build video where we build the more working class buildings that you might have already seen today. All of you guys, I hope that you have a wonderful day, and bye bye.